Right, so good evening and welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. And a happy new year to all the viewers, subscribers, people who follow us on Twitter and anywhere else in cyberspace. But we've got a newbie back on the Easytalk, and we've got a couple of familiar faces. Both of them have been cemented in the memory of subscribers on Cannon Fodder TV. So top right, I want to go to Richard from Arsenal TV. Happy New Year to you, Richard.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Al, and to everyone that's going to be watching this live, and to everyone that's on the panel tonight. So yeah, it's a good way to start off the year in Arsenal getting a win against Man United, and we're unbeaten in 2020.
There you go. There you go. Just one game in. One game in. Bottom right, I've got IG, aka Indian GOONER. Happy New Year, IG.
Happy New Year to Cannon Fodder fans and subscribers. It's been great. I think it just took Arteta one game to break Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a Manchester United manager, and a lot of Manchester United fans who doubted Pepe, Arteta, and right now they are doubting their own existence.
I'm sure we'll get into that. We'll get into that. And bottom left, the newbie, Gerry Johnson, who's you're from Ireland. Do you currently still live in Ireland, Gerry?
Yeah, I live in Ireland, yeah, County Antrim, Ireland.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And you're a former sports writer as well, I understand.
Yeah, I was doing was about 6-7 years. I was writing about football and different sports, mostly football though, and probably more so on the Spanish football side of things, but obviously in Ireland, you know, you're never far away from the Premier League and that, so yeah, mostly up to date.
Yeah, football is big business. And I never got to ask you, you know, who's your team? Which team do you follow? Is it Man U?
Put it this way, I hope Arsenal get beaten Monday night.
Right, okay. That's put the cat amongst the pigeons, Gerry. Oh dear. So you know, anyway, like I said from the intro, this is the Easytalk Bitesize every Friday, 7 p.m. UK time, wherever you are in the world. It might vary, but if you're watching for the first time, make sure you subscribe. Like and share the content to all your friends, family, and your co-workers. So the first thing we actually wanted to talk about was VAR, Gerry, a real passion killer. I hate VAR. I've said it so many times on this channel. Does it really serve a positive purpose, Gerry? What's your thoughts on VAR?
I think VAR does serve a positive purpose. There's little doubt about that. You know, what is wrong with getting things right? Where the problems come in is like some of the decisions are ridiculous. Like we've seen over the last couple of days, the one in the Aston Villa game, where Wesley, I think it was his heel. Like you're looking at that, and I'm not sure that it even is offside. I think that the main problem is that they're too fussy. If they get it right, it's fine. I think it's up to the rule writers and the rule makers to work out what that is, how it is to make it right. Something like, I think personally, something along the lines of you either give the referees that are in the office, you give them either a time limit or a limit the amount of views. Because if you can look at a decision and you can look at it first time straight away and say, that's wrong, then 100% VAR is a good thing. You know, how many times have you looked at a match and you've seen a game and you thought, you know, we were robbed with the referee there? But whenever they're doing ridiculous things like that one, I think it was Wesley's heel. It was just silly. Regarding it being a passion killer, I don't think they care. To be honest, I don't think the powers that be care. Basically, what they're looking at is, you're thinking, like, I presume by passion killer you mean the fans in the stadium. The amount of times I've seen people saying the fans in the stadium, they don't know whether to celebrate it. You know, a kid's looking at it and he doesn't. The powers that we don't care about the fans in the stadium. They've shown that year after year by making teams like Arsenal go up to Manchester on a Monday night, or, you know, stupid fixtures. All they care about is the money from the TV And what's more entertaining for television than suspense and entertainment?
IG, what's your thoughts on VAR? Is it a real passion killer? Because now I think the penny's starting to drop with the players that they're not able to feel the moment because they're not sure whether the goal is going to be ruled offside for a handball or offside. What's your thoughts about VAR?
I think the major problem with VAR is that the offside is a major issue. And in the Premier League, the biggest problem is these referees don't go to the monitor and check the whole thing by themselves. They just don't use it. There is a monitor. They don't use it. And you have a guy who's sitting somewhere little far away who's deciding everything. I don't think so. I think I actually read Jose Mourinho. I think after a game he said that there is a guy who's watching it. I think he does not share the same passion that the fans have it in the stadium. So I think he doesn't understand how. I mean, even Jurgen Klopp in his recent press conference said that it takes around a lot of effort. And right now, I think you see footballers if their hand is a little away, even millimeters, even centimeters kill the passion from the game. And from a fan's perspective, even if my team goes away and scores a goal, I have to wait for my celebration. I have to wait, and it's like it's really sad because see, we wanted technology to improve our game, but it's actually killing a lot of buzzes. I mean, I've seen it in Syria. I've seen it in other leagues where actually referees go, and it actually, I think since VAR has actually come in, the work for referees have become quite less, and I think that is reducing the importance and increasing frustration. I am not a supporter of VAR. Currently, it needs a lot of amendments, especially the offside rule.
Right, but in regards to when they actually review the incident, if it's a millimeter either side or if it's a millimeter off, it's offside, isn't it, Richard? It's offside.
Yeah, whatever happens, it is offside. Now, for me, on my thoughts on VAR, it's that I did want VAR in football because of typical dives and cheats that people got away with. And I really wanted it in. But now I look at VAR on the flip side of it, and I think it is sort of a passion killer. Because before VAR, fans would talk about the discussion in the pub about maybe that should have been offside, maybe that should have been given a penalty. But now the referees know the circumstance. We now, as fans, we know what the circumstances are in the game. So when we go to a pub, we've got nothing to talk about during the game because the VAR has already sorted it out. I think that personally, VAR, I think it's being misused by referees. I think that VAR should be used for penalties as well as offsides. And for anything else, I don't think VAR should be used.
For example?
I don't think it should be used for in play in terms of fouls and free kicks. I don't think it should be used for that. If anything, it should be used for penalties, for penalty decisions. Maybe if it was a dive, if there was no contact, maybe it should be used just for that and just for offsides. That's the only thing it should be allowed for. But then again, the only reason why you see these referees are not using the monitors because they're stubborn. Whenever you know an English referee to go be managing, going to be refereeing a World Cup match, never, because these referees in this country are not good enough.
See, if I could actually add up to that, I think initially it was just your feet. Actually, since it was up to the level of feet, but right now it's even your finger. It's even if your shoulder is slight offside, it's offside. And if you understand, if the forwards of a particular team, if they are if their attacking is based on a long ball, just like how sometimes Liverpool create chances from their fullbacks, you have to time your runs, and if you get it wrong, if it is ruled out offside, the players have to sprint more and they have to work more. That actually increases the injury chances for the a lot of teams as well. So if I think the biggest problem is the offside. The penalty, okay, understandable, handballs and penalty to be retaken if the goalkeeper is off the line quicker than the penalty taker. So I think yes, it has been a boon for us in certain cases, but I think the offside, they have to think more on it because I think it's killing a lot of things.
Jerry, you said from the offset that you follow Spanish football, La Liga. The referees over there, they go over and look at the screen just to verify what's actually happened, don't they, Jerry?
Yeah, they do. I seem to remember whenever VAR, obviously, it was in La Liga a year before it came into the Premier League, and I seem to remember there being like a sort of like a word coming that they were trying to discourage the referees actually going over and looking at it. And then a sort of after a couple of months, people started to notice that, and then there was sort of word that they want referees to do it more. To be honest, like the referee goes over, and at least then maybe someone's actually accountable for it. Like if you're sitting in an office, like I'm not saying that it's good for a referee to feel pressured to make a decision, but if you're standing and you're looking at something in a stadium, surrounded by crowd noise, surrounded by people, surrounded by the actual players, and you're going to stand there and tell me that his pinky was offside, it's going to be it's going to be something different, and you're probably going to look at it and think like, whatever happened to attackers getting the advantage? It used to be the thing. Then we had daylight. The rule changes so much, but I just think that if we were, you were right in what you're saying. If you're a millimeter offside, you're offside. But ultimately, to be able to tell that you're a millimeter offside, I think you're going far too close, and you're going far too deep. You're wasting too much time. I think the rule needs to be changed and put in some kind of a limitation on just how accurate you can be. It is ridiculous. I don't know if any of the guys follow NFL, but the video replays have been in there for a long time, and the way it works is the coaches have a flag where basically you're allowed 2 challenges, and if you throw your flag for a challenge, you risk losing a timeout. So you're basically saying, I've got 2 times. Now, I don't know if you can introduce that to football or not, but there's a world of ideas out there. The way it is at the minute, people don't like it and they don't want it. But as I said at the very beginning, ultimately, I think getting decisions right in a business like football, which is multi-million, billion-pound industry, teams lose out. Like remember, probably was it Bolton were involved in one years ago, and there was all different incidents where even keeping it in the public Ireland and France in the World Cup, Thierry Henry's handball. If that at that time, that made such a difference. The whole people of Ireland, like even industries outside football, like pubs, what it would mean to them, for Ireland to be in the World Cup. It's so big. They need to get things right, but it's the ridiculousness and the fact that some killjoy is sitting with a ruler looking at a millimeter. It needs to be reviewed.
So what's the general consensus? Would you guys prefer that we went back to the arbitration, that the referee will make the decision with his linesman, or are you guys happy just to see VAR but rolled out and kind of tweaked a little bit more?
I personally just want to see VAR be used in the correct and possible way possible. So, like, just for offsides, only measure it by the person's feet, not by a fingertip, not by a shoulder. Just do it by their feet. If they're offside by their foot, they're offside. That's fine. Just do that. If they can tweak that, then I'll be happy.
But what about when there's a penalty and there could be a potential encroachment? Would you use VAR for that, or would you just take VAR away from that as well? It
is difficult. If you put it that way, it is difficult. If the referee thinks it's a penalty, then let him decide if it is a penalty. If the line, then the best thing to do is let him ask the linesman if he's behind it. If he's got a good view of it, then let the linesman decide if it was a penalty or not. And if he's still not sure of it, then go to VAR.
But go to the monitor rather than
go into the actual monitor, so the referee has got a better view of it.
Yeah. IG.
I think since VAR has actually come in, they have actually employed a separate person who takes the decision. I think this reduces the power of the referee who's on the pitch. who should be a better judge. I believe that I think he should be given a monitor. He should be told to actually, take matters in your own hands. You're on the pitch. You know, one wrong decision, what it could change. It could relegate a club. And if you, it's not about supporting a club or something like that, but you need to take the right decisions. And I believe the rules have to change. And as you said, Alex, I think since if there are fouls inside the box and if it's a penalty, it's a breakage of play. What a referee does is stops the play, gives a penalty that used to happen. So okay, the play normally stops inside the box. But the best part is, the biggest problem is, since if it's outside the box, especially offsides and everything, I mean, they are told that even if it's offside, go continue and score a goal. And that's how I think one of the teams scored. Who was it? Newcastle. I think John Joe Shelby, who scored that. Somebody went and scored, and all Norwich City players were just dumbstruck. They thought that it would have been an offside position, but he got the goal. They beat them 2-0. So I think the offside rule has to change. Either even Jurgen Klopp actually suggested a solution to that. Just make the offside line thicker. If your fingertip is an issue, if it's all about the millimeters, extend it to certain centimeters. At least give some. I mean, if your team's forwards are making a run, I mean, come on, don't judge them by the fingertips. I mean, just like as Richard said, and keep it to the feet.
Mm. Jerry, you make the point about NFL. I used to follow NFL back in the late 80s, early 90s. To compare NFL to football, it's a different beast. Football is supposed to be fast flowing with really minor interruptions, but with NFL, you slow the game down. Mm-hmm. Is it not a different beast?
Well, it is. You've got the very nature that every 4 or 5 seconds in NFL, you run a play, and then you've got the time to look at the play. You've got your 40 seconds between it. But ultimately, like, what's the difference in VAR? Like, say there was one there where a foul was committed, and the team went up the pitch and scored a goal, and then the referee went back and gave a penalty to the other team. There's different ways. Like ones I've seen ones in Spain as well, where maybe the play goes on and continues on, and then next thing the referee gets a word in the ear, and he goes back and stops the play. So I think if it's something like that, like, is it a matter of employing somebody upstairs to be watching replays and saying, there's something wrong there, and then they're maybe telling the coach to do a flag? I think there's other things we could do before we would get to that stage, though. I think definitely the technology's there, and you need to embrace the technology, but you need to make the technology work. You need to make it where it's not like, as I say, it is ridiculous. I liked Richard's idea about the foot. If it's the foot's on or the foot's off, that's what you go by. But it's just so fussy, so pernickety. It's just there's no need for it at the minute. The way just the actual, there is like an element of killjoy and that, but they need to adjust the rules and make it right.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, if I could add, I think in Austria there was a match recently wherein the referee connected a microphone with the VAR. So people who are watching on the television set, they were actually hearing why they what exactly they ruled a goal offside. So they actually spoke about the rules and everything, and everyone was like, okay. So at least you could connect a mic along with the referee in those kind of situations, and at least people know why exactly it was offside. So maybe it could calm down a lot of nerves.
Yeah, I mean, you get that in rugby union. You can actually hear the referee explaining to the players why he's given the foul or the free kick or whatever it is. So I think it might bring some kind of clarity, amongst all the confusion as what why the referee has referred to VAR, why he stopped play. But I think you may be right, IG. The introduction of having a microphone, listening to what the referee's explaining, might bring some clarity to the whole situation. Anyway. Anyone's just kind of passing by and watching our Cannon Fry TV, the Easytalk Bite Size. I've got Jerry Jones, who's new on our Cannon Fry TV. I've also got IG, Indian Gooner, high octane stuff if you go with his channel. And I've also got Richard from Arsenal TV, who's also my host on Fan Comments every Monday at 5:30 p.m. He's making his way to 1,000 subscribers, and if he does reach, no, not if, when he reaches that landmark, what are you going to do for us, Richard?
I'm dyeing the middle of my hair red.
The Freddie Lundberg look.
Yep.
Okay. I wish I had some here.
I'm not far from it. I'm 162 away.
Right. And counting.
Yeah.
Well done. So let me just quickly go into the chat. Let's see what some people have been saying about the topic so far. And I've got a regular in Mube Goon. He says, greetings my family from Jamaica. Happy New Year, and a Happy New Year to you as well.
Happy New Year, Mube.
And also I've got GOONER Glenn, who's also another regular from the United States. He says, good evening, gang. And he also says, the TVs are at the side of the pitch already. Why, if they are not using them? Is it the fact that they're too stubborn, or they don't have a directive which tells them, if there's an incident, go over and look at the monitor?
I reckon it's the second one.
Yeah, I thought whenever it first came out, there was some sort of directive that they didn't want the referees running over to these pitchside cameras, and then there was maybe about a month, 6 weeks ago, there was one of the really bad weekends with VAR, and they sort of changed that. I remember reading a couple of articles that they were looking to change it. So I haven't really seen an awful lot of evidence that they have changed it though.
Yeah. Okay, and then he goes on to say, just to finish off, it is here to stay, so let's tweak it to work, for it to work properly. Yeah, I think it needs a lot of tweaking and revamping, because right about now, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work. If you bring out the millimeter ruler to check whether someone's offside, yeah, it's not working. It's not working. Okay, the second thing we actually wanted to talk about was about Leicester City. Is it a rejuvenated Leicester City? They won the Premier League 2017 when Arsenal actually should have won the Premier League. But under Brendan Rodgers, there's a rejuvenated Jamie Vardy. And lo and behold, they sit in second place, IG. Second place in the Premier League. What's going on?
I think everything fell in proper place. I think they lost Harry Maguire, slabhead to Manchester United. I think that is the biggest and the best piece of business that any team ever did in the last summer. I think they lost a defender who was actually good in his presence. But since Soyun Shu came in, I think I actually read an article wherein he clocks 28 miles. He's so quick. He's like a cold-blooded defender. I mean, and along with that, Johnny Evans has actually. I don't understand what is wrong with Manchester United. I mean, they're selling off their best defenders. Like Johnny Evans was gone. Daley Blind went to Ajax, and they beat Juventus. They knocked out Juventus with Daley Blind playing. I mean, what is wrong? They're getting wrong in everything. I mean, Banta Club FC. But to be fair enough, I think. I think they could have been much better. I think the problem is that they don't have a figure like Mahrez. They have somebody in NDD, like a figure like Conte in that season that they won, but they don't have a proper good winger like Mahrez. I think Ayoze Perez does not have a good finishing. I think that against Arsenal, I think they should have won 5-0. They should have, but it was Ayoze Perez who could not get the finishing touches. He's improving, but I don't think so. He has the goals to become the next big thing. But they deserve to be on the second spot.
Yeah. Richard, what's your thoughts? Rejuvenated Leicester City under Brendan Rodgers. Is it sustainable? Can they stay in second spot?
At the moment, in terms of the way Man City are playing right now, I think Leicester are going to be definitely fighting Liverpool for that league title. But it's not over until the final day. I reckon Liverpool. I reckon Leicester have got the right mentality to keep winning games and keep applying the pressure on Liverpool. But I just think that Liverpool have got a much stronger, more in-depth squad to actually go and get the league title this season. And it proves in the way Liverpool have been playing in recent games. They're unbeaten in the league. And I'm just worried that Liverpool could go invincible this season in the Premier League. I'm just worried that it could happen. But I think IG's right. I think if you look at the Leicester side back then, they had Mahrez, and now where he's gone to Man City, Leicester, they haven't got a winger that can score goals. The only person they're relying on to score goals at the minute is Maddison and Jamie Vardy, but Vardy's their top scorer at the moment. So it's going to be very, very tough, but I reckon Liverpool will win the league this season.
Okay. Gerry, what's your thoughts on Leicester City? You know, are they a rejuvenated side? And even more so, do you think it's sustainable? Do you think they can really secure that second spot there?
Obviously, Leicester, they won the league a couple of years ago. Now, the manager, Brendan is actually from the village that I live in now in Ireland. So, like from way back, I've kind of, I've been following his career since I moved here. Like the family, none of them are really into football, and it was always like, what about the fella RODGERS? At the time, he was a youth coach at Chelsea, and so he's someone that I've always followed his career, and up north of the border as well at Celtic, and I've always kind of followed what he's done, and for me, he's very, very good whenever it comes to attacking players and anybody in a creative position. He's always going to make them better. He's a very, very good technical coach, and he talks like he's a sports psychologist. The way he says things, and you see him doing interviews, he's very deliberate in everything that he says. And I do think that he has a weakness, and his weakness is in defence, and he doesn't necessarily have a plan B. Defensively, there's not that much that technically you can teach a centre back, and he doesn't seem to, necessarily. He's got Colo Touré now, and his background team sort of doing the defensive. John Kennedy at Celtic, as well. But whenever you look at like Celtic's European results under Brendan Rodgers, some of the worst results in Celtic's history came under Brendan Rodgers, and it was because Brendan Rodgers plays Brendan Rodgers football. He wants to have the ball. He wants to keep possession. His best form of defence is to have the ball. And when Celtic were playing PSG, Barcelona, teams like that, they were getting hammered, absolutely hammered, because they didn't have the ball. And whenever they didn't have the ball, they didn't know what to do. And one thing that I think has been shown in the defeats to City and Liverpool is that he hasn't learned from that. He hasn't learned. He hasn't changed his ways. I think a more pragmatic approach in some games, if he sort of took a wee bit of parking the bus or a bit more defensive, would improve him. The one thing I would say about him is, whenever he went to Leicester, Jamie Vardy, career over. Genuinely, he wants to pass the ball. He wants to take 100 touches in midfield before the ball goes forward. He has made that change. He's getting the ball forward to get the best out of Vardy, and Vardy has thrived under him. But until he looks at some of these games, like honestly, I think Manchester City and I think Liverpool are streets ahead of them. I genuinely don't think Leicester have that much to fear from United, Chelsea, Spurs, or yourselves at Arsenal, where you are all kind of in a position where it's too to beat the teams that are better than them. They can certainly finish in the top three. I think Man City will draw them in, but I think there's nothing for them to be worrying about, and they have a good cushion there ahead of the rest of the chasing pack.
If I could come in, I think Gerry, since this team is being managed by Brendan Rodgers, all it would take is a slip. A famous slip from a captain, and we'll come back. No worry.
Slip. So, do you guys think that the Premier League is over? Do you think Liverpool they're going to walk it in the end?
Yeah, I think the Premier League title was already decided in December. Because they normally say whoever finishes who's at the top of the league by Christmas are the ones that are going to win it. And Liverpool have been at the top of the league since near enough the start of this season. So personally, I just think that Jurgen Klopp has got the players in the right mindset to say, look, you've got the biggest chance now to go and win the league and to make history. So, and the players have got the right mentality to go and do it. I haven't seen once that Liverpool have dropped their focus once. If they're down by 1 goal, they'll come back firing in the second half. They always get together. They always get back into focus, get their mind sorted, get it fresh, and back into the game. And that's it. And then when they come out, they'll muller anyone. So I reckon that Liverpool already won the league, and I reckon it was already decided in September.
Yeah.
If I could come.
Yeah, go for it, IG.
Richard, since the modern era started, whenever Liverpool have finished first before Christmas or during Christmas, they've never won it. And the next thing is that I would really like to commend Jurgen Klopp. I think 365 days unbeaten in the Premiership, unbelievable. But the biggest worry that I am actually having as an Arsenal fan is them also being an invincible.
Yeah.
With a better amount of matches won. So I think, the Liverpool fans are actually believing that the Premiership will be decided in March when they beat Everton. So that is when everything will be sorted, because they believe that they'll go unbeaten till then. The only way to even think to beat Liverpool is on the road. At home, it's not possible. Anfield is a fortress. It's really, really difficult. I mean, everyone has tried it, but I think it's going to be difficult.
Jerry, did you say that you're a Manchester United fan?
No, Leeds. Leeds United.
Leeds. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Leeds. No, what am I talking about? Yeah. Okay. All right. The last thing we wanted to talk about was the player of the decade. Which player in the last 10 years has kind of taken your eye or caught your eye? I'm gonna go to Richard first. Who's been your pick of the decade?
I think the player of the decade for me, he's actually currently not at Arsenal anymore, and the player of the decade for me was actually Santi Cazorla. I thought he was a great player. I know he picked up a couple of injuries, and he's played some absolutely blinding games for us. If not him, I would probably have gone with Aaron Ramsey, because I think he stuck with Arsenal for such a long time, and he wasn't worried where he played. He always gave 110% every game. Considering I know where he got an injury against, was it against Birmingham for the first game in the League Cup final? He wasn't right after that. So, I would say either Santi Cazorla or Aaron Ramsey for me.
Okay. Jerry.
Well, certainly sort of on a global scale, like it's a two-horse race. You're talking Ronaldo and Messi. For me, Ronaldo has a certain aspects where you've got three players in one basically over the last decade, where he started off, you remember him in his early days, and he was sort of this one trick, just all these tricks, and then he moved himself on and sort of became this extreme threat from the left wing, and then he's now adapted himself again to be the kind of player that he's just, he's a poacher, he scores goals, and he's obviously a unique talent. But for me, and the way I want to watch football and the way I love football, it's Messi. He's I want to watch somebody taking men on, dribbling, picking passes, pick and play. To me, he's the player of the decade. I like, from what you were saying there, Arsenal, a lot of respect for Santi Cazorla. A lot of respect for Santi Cazorla. He went through an awful lot, and he's still playing well. He's still playing. People thought that he would like, there was concerns that for like walking again and everything after his illness and that, but he's still there, and he got more caps for Spain, and he's a fantastic footballer, fantastic what he went through. But for me, the footballer of the decade is Lionel Messi.
Am I missing the point? I thought you meant the Arsenal player of the decade.
No.
I feel like a right idiot. No, do you know what? No, if it's on the global scale, it's got to be Lionel Messi all day long. It has to be.
Yeah, I concur.
So no more Santi Cazorla and Aaron Ramsey.
IG, do you know what? If it's an Arsenal player of the decade, then yeah, Santi Cazorla all day long.
He never said Arsenal player of the decade.
I know, that's why I feel like a right idiot.
IG, he made amends. He said Lionel Messi.
Yeah, man.
Oh dear. IG, who's your player of the decade?
It's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough. I think I would go with Cristiano Ronaldo because I think even if I try, even if I try a lot, I may try to try to replicate him because the way he whatever he has achieved since 2010 to I mean I read a very insane stat. Leo Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in this past decade scored a total of 704 goals. Did you know how much Arsenal scored? Exactly 704. Those both people, I mean, they have scored equal amount of goals what Arsenal has scored complete in a decade. I mean, those two are insane people. You can't compare anyone else with them, at least in this decade. And it's going to be really sad because in the next decade, I mean, obviously both are going to retire. And I don't know what could be more reason to actually watch European football anymore if you don't have Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think Champions League is my player of the decade.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, just again, anyone just passing by, make sure you subscribe, share, and like the content on Counterpoint TV. I've got Richard from Off TV, who's also my co-host. I've got IG, aka Indian Gunner. I've also got Jerry Jones on the channel for the first time. We're just talking about Leicester City, VAR, passion killer. We've just been talking about our favourite player of the decade. We did want to quickly speak about Arsenal, the first win under Mikel Arteta very briefly. Now, Jerry, I know you're not an Arsenal fan, but what are your thoughts so far about Arsenal under Mikel Arteta?
They beat Man United there. Was that last night or Wednesday night, whatever day it was, and I say I didn't watch the full game. I watched the highlights of the game, and it was a good result. It was a very good result. To me, Arsenal have been a club. They're on kind of they're going kind of. They have been going the wrong way. They started off. You had back in the Wenger days, to me, Wenger come in, and Wenger was way ahead of his time and took Arsenal to the place. He gave these guys great memories, the Invincibles, and the finals and won cups and whatever. I think it was about 3 or 4 league titles and stuff. And then it just, to me, he's just kept on too long, and it just sort of seemed like, remember, like, I don't know, some of the younger guys maybe don't remember it particularly, but whenever, like, the early Arsenal Wenger team, you had some real tough, nasty players in the midfield, real leader types. You had like Vieira, and you had Gilberto Silva, and guys like that. Like, I look at Arsenal now, and I'm not sure who you would look to in a dressing room and say, "You're my leader. You're the guy that's going to go out and step up on the pitch, and he's going to lead the club forward." Now, I think at the minute, Liverpool and City are ahead of everyone. But there's an opening there for a team to move into the space then, because there's nobody, like, none of the rest of them look that good, none of the rest of them. So there is a place for Arsenal. We don't know how good Arteta is. I don't know. He's, everybody's rating him highly because he's worked with Guardiola. Time will tell. Nobody knows. But there's definitely the most important thing he can do for me is to make sure that Arsenal turn that curve and start going back up. To me, Arsenal's the top 3 in England. The top 3 clubs in England are, to me, should be Arsenal, Manchester United, and Liverpool. That's the standard that Arsenal should be at. They should be in the top 3. You've got your Chelseas and you've got your Man Cities who are there based on money. They're there because they've got rich at the right time. Those are the 3 clubs that have got history and they've got support, and that's the bare minimum. If Arsenal aren't in the top 3, then they're not doing good enough. And to me, I don't know if Arteta is. I probably wouldn't have been, but he's got the job now, and I'm sure you all get behind him and support him moving forward.
Jerry, if I could come in, I'm sorry, if I could come in. I think you can judge by the fact that Arteta is a good manager because he's recalled Nketiah back.
Jerry, I just want to actually push you on one point. I guess you spoke about in the current squad, the players will be looking for a captain or a leader in the squad. There has been talk about the way that David Luiz, apparently he had the players all together and he was speaking to them as if he were the captain. The current captain is Aubameyang. Do you agree with Arsenal having given him the captain's armband, Jerry?
At the end of the day, he's probably your best player, and if you're looking to someone to aspire,
I think he's
go to the best player. I've seen him talking, about how it's, the players are happy and all this here, but David Luiz is one of them people who he's going to talk a really good game and then he's going to go out onto the pitch and do something mental. He's seen him remember the Brazil 7. Take me back to Brazil and Germany 7-1 game. Thiago Silva was suspended. David Luiz was they were 1-0 down in the whatever time, and he was playing right wing, and he's supposed to be the centre back. He's not a leader. He's not somebody that technically he's a fantastic footballer, but he has a mistake in him, and he's not someone that I would want to be inspiring people around me. I still think Xhaka was harshly treated. I know that that's probably not a popular opinion with Arsenal fans. I personally love the passion of you give me stick, and yes, you paid to get in here, but I'll give a bit back. I love that. I do. I love there's multiple occasions and people are criticizing players for giving a bit back. I think it's brilliant. It shows me that guy actually cares, and I know that that's something that I think Arsenal need is people that genuinely really want to win and really care about what's happening.
Richard, Jerry just said literally that really Mikel Arteta is untested, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, I guess he sort of is untested as a manager because obviously Arsenal was his first club that he's ever managed. I know he's had 3 years experience under Pep Guardiola, but I think what he's doing, he's sort of whatever he's learned from Pep Guardiola, he's putting it to himself and doing it into his own team. And you can tell straight away. It took Arteta 2 games from the Chelsea game and Man United game to turn Arsenal around quickly. You could tell within those 2 games. Unai Emery was at Arsenal for 1.5 years, and it was the same all over. It was exactly the same as like it was under Arsene Wenger for the last 10 years when he was here. So if you want to look at the Man United game, it's the energy levels. The energy levels was so high, it's unbelievable. And I don't think that Mikel Arteta really actually expected the players to play the way they did. So I think that Mikel Arteta, give him time. And I think that he will be able to get this team pushing again. He's got the best out of Mesut Ozil already. And if you look at Man City fans highly rate him because they say that he was the reason why Sterling is the player he is today. So if he can get the best out of Raheem Sterling, he can get the best out of Nicolas Pepe. So I think only time will tell. But at the minute, I think I'll say it's a little bit too early to say, yeah, he's the right man for this job. But let's just give him time. Let's just give him time and see where we are by the end of the season.
Okay. And of course, IG, David Luiz is your favourite player, isn't he, in the current squad?
No, Gabriel Martinelli is. But still, David.
I was joking.
You scared me. I'll speak very briefly about Arsenal versus Manchester United game. Why Mikel Arteta is the right man right now to lead Arsenal? The only reason is because he is learning from his mistake every game. Okay, against Chelsea, you saw how Arsenal played in the first half. You saw something similar to Manchester in the Manchester United game as well, but there was a difference. Against Chelsea, tired after the. 5 minutes an extra time as a stoppage time. But the problem was that I saw Messi was panting. They were gasping for air. It was pretty much clear if Mikel Arteta's system is high energy, high octane system, these people they did not have the legs to actually complete it. And that is the reason why we couldn't sit back and defend that lead, and that we crumbled in the second half. That did not happen in the Manchester United game because we started with high octane. I mean, within the first 9 minutes, we should have been 2-0, but the volley from Aubameyang did not go in. So we had our chances. Lacazette made a lot of chances. He was wasteful, but the problem was that Mikel Arteta knew that, and the only reason why we were energetic towards the end of the first half is because we changed our position and we had to hit mid-block, and that was the reason why Manchester United were playing sideways football in the whole of first half. They did not know what to do. So, and second half, we were actually sitting back and we were defending through the lines. I mean, it was so good to see. And the only reason why Nick can be better is because this manager, Mikel Arteta, he knows the weakness of Manchester United. He knows. And the only reason was that I think Manchester United tried to, tilt the team towards one side. And the biggest reason why I think the inverted fullback thing is working well. And it is because why instant analysis is the biggest reason why is because I think from a fullback he comes to a midfield role and Xhaka goes back to a fullback role. And then Kolasinac and actually, it was a first game against Aaron Van Bissaka, and Kolasinac could link well with Aubameyang, and that led to the first goal. So this is all Arteta's ideas. This is all what football looks like. I mean, it was tactical masterclass. We should have had 4 goals. We should have had Lacazette taken his chances.
Gerry, one player that has divided the fan base more than any other player that I can remember in 42 years of supporting Arsenal is Mesut Ozil. Where do you stand on the Mesut Ozil issue?
Whenever Arsenal signed him, I thought they were getting one of the best number 10s in the world. I don't think since he's been to Arsenal, like there's been days, there's been highlights. You could make a fantastic YouTube video of him, but I don't think week in, week out, I don't think he's lived up to what he could have done. Now, I don't know whether that's a case of there just being problems at the club where, as I've said, things weren't necessarily always going right. Wenger at the time was in my opinion, he stayed too long. Unai Emery, I personally wouldn't have took him to Arsenal at that time either. I thought after the job that he didn't do necessarily that well at PSG. Obviously, if I'm right, I'm saying I think that's one of the titles that they lost was the year Monaco, and he was the manager, and then that's the guy that Arsenal brings in. I don't know whether it's been a case of the Ozil's just lost a bit of confidence, a bit of interest, even maybe. But I don't think he's been quite what I thought he was going to be. Certainly, whenever he was at Real Madrid in that number 10 position, he was fantastic. But I don't know. To me, he hasn't lived up to the hype.
Okay. Richard, did you want to say anything on?
Yeah, Al, I just want to touch on the Man United game. Now, I noticed that during that Man United game, we was doing a lot of pressing as well and trying to shut Man United away from get involved for Man United getting into our channels, and that's what I liked. And I noticed it during the Chelsea game as well. Now, if you notice that during the Chelsea game, we played well for 85 minutes for that Chelsea game. We played brilliant. Against Man United, I think we only sort of blew out in the last 20 minutes. And what I like to see was the players to walk off. They struggle to even walk off at full time. And it proves that Mikel Arteta, he wants players that will run for a whole 90 minutes. And it proved it. So I think that the energy levels are going to get even better, and I think eventually after a game you won't see the players be so tired to walk off because they'll be so used to these type of running and the energy that Mikel Arteta wants. But I think it will just take time, and eventually this is what I'm saying. I think that what he's doing, he's learned things from Pep Guardiola in terms of the way Man City work. Because you look at the way Man City play. they play with high energy. That's why Man City are so hard to score against, and they're quick, fast in trying to counter you, and you don't know what to do. You got to think quick, and I think that's what Mikel Arteta wants the same from Arsenal players, is to do exactly the same. And I think it will only just take time, and I think we will get there.
Okay. Listen, I'm going to bring this segment of Easy Talk Bite Size to an end. It's every Friday on Canon 4 TV, 7 p.m. wherever you are in the world. But before I call this to an end, I want to say a big thank you to Gerry for coming on. Made his debut on Canon 4 TV. Gerry, thank you very much, man.
Debut on any sort of TV thing like this.
But listen, it's the first time. I got a funny feeling it won't be the last time that you appear on Canon 4 TV. But thank you very much, Gerry, for taking time to come on the Canon 4 TV's channel. Okay, thank you very much. And also, IG, GOONER. Is that it? Just
No. I think, as always, it's a pleasure to be here with Richard and Gerry. I think it was a pleasure to share the screen with you on the stage, but it was really a good time to. I think finally, first time I've seen a Leeds fan. I mean, it's good.
and Richard from Unpartner TV, my co-host on Fan Comments every Monday. Richard, listen, I hope you're feeling a lot better. I know you haven't been feeling too well over the last few days.
Yeah, I haven't been feeling well since Christmas, to be honest. Obviously, like, I went away for Christmas and I had to come back early, so because obviously down to being ill. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better to what I was, but I've just got to get rid of this cough. So yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, but I'm going to give the last word to Gerry. Gerry, so Arsenal play against Leeds in the FA Cup on Monday, where I am actually going to be at the game. Prediction. What do you predict?
1-0 to Leeds.
1-0 to Leeds. Oh, IG, you want to say something quickly?
I just want Thierry Henry to come back and 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Okay. Richard.
I reckon it's going to be a very, very tight game. Very, very tight. Leeds are no mugs. They ain't no pushovers. And I think that they're more concerned about winning the championship and coming up into the Premier League next season. But in terms of this game, I think Mikel Arteta, I don't think he will go with a full strong enough lineup. He'll probably have one or two first-team players in there. But I don't know. It's going to be a very, very tight game. But I would take a 2-1 Arsenal. And IG, can I just say, so IG's comment earlier about Eddie Nketiah, the reason why Arsenal recalled him was because Arsenal was unhappy in the way that Leeds were using Eddie Nketiah, was because that when you loan out a player, as he is your main player, as he's still part of your club, you expect, when you loan out a player, you expect them to use him week in, week out as a first-team player. And Leeds was not doing that. They was using him as an impact player and coming off the bench. That's why Arsenal recalled him back. That was the reason why.
If I could change, 2-0 to the Arsenal, Eddie Nketiah scores a goal.
I think what you're saying about Eddie Nketiah, you're right enough. There was a clamour he was coming in, and every time he came off the bench, he was scoring goals. And at the time, Patrick Bamford wasn't. The Leeds fans wanted Nketiah to start. Bielsa is very, very stubborn. Very stubborn. There was a game, I can't remember who it was against, but Nketiah came on at half time, and he was superb. And it kind of looked like he was probably going to get the start in the next game, and then he got injured. He was out, and since he's came back, to be honest with you, he hasn't really played that well. Bamford has started to score goals, and his all-round games play has been very good. And I think probably, and it's in the best interest. I do think Eddie Nketiah, he looks a serious talent, very, very good player. But as you say, he wasn't getting the game time, and at the end of the day, it was the same way with Clark over across North London that had signed for Spurs, and he wasn't getting game time, so Spurs had called him. But just a last word on Monday night's game. I would love to see Leeds play the full team and go for it, and Arsenal to play, just to see if we go up where we are. But I think both teams are going to play very much second string teams, and honestly, I think these will probably be too much for us. But I would love to see Leeds the murder ball style Bielsa football. 60,000 fans. I would love to see it, and I hope to see it next season. But we'll see what happens. But I think it would be great for Leeds.
So Jerry, Al, can I say, Jerry? So if that's the case, then would you actually like to see Arsenal go with their full starting lineup to see if you can keep up with them, like ready for when you come into the Premier League next season?
Yeah, 100%. I would like to see go full pelt. Leeds go full pelt. If we get beat 3 or 4-0, then you know how far away you are. But I think the style of football that Leeds play will cause teams problems. It's like what you were talking about with Arteta and the pressing, the high pressing, the quick tempo. It causes teams problems, and sometimes whenever teams aren't as good as the other team, if you're able to disrupt their play and be quick and close them down fast, it can be a great equaliser. And I would love to see just how Leeds would cope with a top drawer Premier League team.
IG, did you want to say something very quickly, IG, before we wrap it up? Did you want to say something?
Yeah, Jerry, out of the 60 fans, one of them will be Alex. So, and he will be supporting Arsenal. And I think the way, I think it's very, you're completely correct that Bielsa is a very stubborn man. He reminds me of Maurizio Sarri. I mean, no matter what happens, for his system, he's not going to think about the player. He actually praised a lot about Nketiah. The biggest reason why I think this is the same reason why I think Serge Gnabry was, he was not given the chances when he was, he went to West Brom. So I think when the managers don't believe in the player, they believe that he's going to be a makeshift player, he's going to be an impactful player, he's going to come off the bench and do something for us. I think that's clearly a sign of there's no trust. I mean, he's not looking to risk things a little. But I think if that's the case, then I don't think so. You should go for somebody like that. You shouldn't get players on loan, because I think if you're coming to the Premiership, if they actually win the promotion, which I think rightfully they should, because they've been really well. So if they do, I think most probably I'd really love to see them against Arsenal at the Ellen Road.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, I'm gonna wrap up finally this segment of the Easy Talk. Again, Happy New Year to everyone who's watching this now on playback. This segment of the Easy Talk Bitesize will be uploaded later on this evening on YouTube. So if you've been wondering who or what you've been watching Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world. And again, Happy New Year.